This is Sales Players, and I'm your host, Jesse Woodbury. I've spent my career selling for early stage companies, and now I'm on a mission to help reps and operators find tips, strategies, and resources for generating more pipeline, closing more deals, and building wealth in tech sales. To learn more, visit salesplayers.co. All right, Sales Players, it's Jesse here, and to be honest, this might be like a 2-minute episode because there's not really much to it, but I wanted to walk you through the way that I approach re-engaging closed lost opportunities. First, I'll start with why should you go after closed lost opportunities? Well, in my opinion, in many cases, that's where your low-hanging fruit is. Especially if you're starting out at a new role at a new company and you don't really know the historics on what the pipelines looked like and you just inherited a new territory or you're starting out in a new territory. This is a great opportunity to go and look back at some of the historicals and figure out if there were deals that maybe slipped through the cracks. One, because of timing. Two, because of whoever was in the region before you just couldn't get it closed. There's a lot of reasons to go after some of these closed loss opportunities. So this is your chance to build some quick pipeline and hopefully some quick wins as well. So basically the process is as soon as you come into your territory and you have your accounts, you want to actually go and pull a report in your CRM system. Whether you use Salesforce or HubSpot, there is most definitely a way to go in and pull a report of all of the opportunities that were closed lost. I usually go back somewhere between 18 and 24 months. You can go back longer if your company's been around for a long time. But I pull a report in and I take a look at all of the different deals that didn't close. And the first step is you're going to actually go through one by one. I know it's a little bit tedious, but this, in my opinion, is a very important revenue generating activity. So it's worth the time. But you want to actually go through each of those closed lost opportunities. See if you can figure out why they originally wanted to meet with your company. What pain points were they trying to solve for? Did they have some kind of compelling reason to meet? Were they seriously evaluating your solution, or were they just tire kicking? And if you can also figure out who the point of contact was. Now, I realize in a lot of companies, there is very poor CRM hygiene. And most of the companies I've been with, that's been the case. I've worked on a few teams where note-taking and documentation was a core part of the sales process internally. And so there was good notes and there was good contact association and those sorts of things with those ops. Hopefully that's the case for your company, but if not, you just have to do the best you can to go through those ops and see if you can figure out who the main point of contact was, any notes or insights you can gather. Now, from there, there's two approaches you can take. I would recommend starting with a very personalized outreach to if you can find and identify who the contacts are, you want to take a personalized approach and reach out to these people. And likely what you're going to want to do is summarize what you know about the previous thread of conversation. So I'll use an example here. Let's say you find an opportunity and a previous rep who's no longer with the company lost the deal. You were talking to Jane Doe, and Jane said that the company needed to save money, and that's why they were evaluating your solution. They were trying to consolidate their budget or their costs. And you now know if you reach back out to Jane, you could remind her of what the original reason they met with, and then just ask if now is a better time to revisit the conversation. And I actually have a whole email template that I'm going to link down in the show notes. I wrote a whole piece on how I go about this. And I included my personal template that I've used now for 5 years. And by the way, this is my highest performing outbound email that I've ever written in my career. And in some roles, I've seen as high as a 90% response rate to this message. So I'll link that in the show notes. Let me know if you have any questions about it. But it's basically an email that has kind of an interesting and intriguing subject line that doesn't quite make sense. But it then just asks the question of, hey, a while back you were looking at our product. I'm curious if now is a better time. By the way, we've made some updates or changes to how we do things. I always tease that out a little bit because that piques people's interest when they hear that there's new features, or maybe the pricing model has changed since they spoke with you. So you want to kind of tease a few of those things out. So take a personal approach, try to use whatever notes are in those opportunities. That way it's very personalized and specific to the thread of conversations that they've had in the past. And then the other way is if you don't have that or you want to go in mass, you can actually create a whole sequence in your CRM system or through your tool like SalesLoft or Outreach. And you can add all these people into a sequence that basically generally says, hey, is now a better time to connect with our company. By the way, we've made some changes to how we do this or that since you last spoke with us, and we'd love to share more about that and hear more about what you're working on in your business. And that's pretty much it. That's my re-engagement process for stale or closed lost ops. This has worked incredibly well for me. And I've shared this template with a few colleagues and they've had great success with it as well. Again, you can find that template down in the show notes. And thanks for listening.